Well, that's where I live. It's better than being in Greece.
Efaristo.
I
Yeah.
was I was a professor in Greece for 1 year. Couldn't take it.
Yeah. Difficult
Yeah, impossible, I would say.
and close to Ukraine.
That wasn't the problem. The problem was domestic politics.
Right. Sound familiar? Yeah.
The political parties would not let the university function. They kept interfering with the university.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not.
Well, education is scary. Here, I want to show you something I shared with my students. This is really fun. So this is the top coach in basketball history. No male or female coach in basketball has scored more wins than she has. She earned the title this year as the top coach in basketball history, and then she retired from Stanford, where she was the coach. And so the New York Times interviewed her in January of 2024, and they said, like, what's your secret? How can you do it? And she says, every behavior is communication, not just words, but also eye contact and body language.
Yeah,
Basketball, they're dancing a lot, they're moving their body, you get it. And
yeah.
she commute with the way she looks. Oh God, hold on. Hello, what's the issue? I'm on a Zoom call.
Oh, I'll call back later. I just want to know if you wanted to, if there's any thought of going swimming tonight.
Yeah, oh, okay, sure. Call me back.
Okay. Are you at home or at the mill?
At the mill. Okay. Okay. So anyway, so this is really interesting. So she's the top coach because she realized consciously what her non-conscious communication does, particularly eye contact, right? And so then I showed my students this. I went to the supermarket. Every behavior is communication, not just words, but also eye contact and body language. The Frosted Flakes, Hawaiian Punch, mini wheats, it's the exact same thing. Here's this one. Mac and cheese, the smile. Oh, look at Mickey Mouse. They really get it. They really get it. Look at the Mickey Mouse. They're looking right at you. And then the Barbie, the girls looking right at you at the sides, right?
Mhm.
And then, of course, this is for you, Nikos. This is just for you. I had to show them this. And so I actually started Googling that about why my cat stands at the end of my bed every morning and looking at me. And that's like eye contact. I want to be fed, you idiot. He's telling me something, the staring. So it's very, very important. So what's fascinating to me is the business world, the sports world knows about eye contact, but the architectural community does not. We have one brain. It's hardwired for social relationships with all kinds of things and with eye contact. Kellogg's knows that. Its valuation in 2024 is 33 billion. They know that. They have to know that. They can't not put a face on the Kellogg's Raisin Bran. They have to, right? And so they know that. And the same, and the coach, the top coach in history of the sport knows that, the non-conscious communication. The architecture world doesn't know that. Oh, and look at this. What am I reading? Sun-made raisins. Look at that. The girl.
Yes.
She's looking
Yeah.
right at me.
Yeah.
She's pretty and cute, and she looks right at me. And of course, oh, I want her. It's unbelievable. So it's
Yes.
that gap between what the business world, how the business world monetizes our evolutionary behaviors, and the architecture world, building the human habitat, doesn't know it exists. Is like, what's the same time frame?
Yes, but Anne, you're missing the most fundamental aspect of this whole discussion. The architecture world makes trillions of dollars by
Yeah.
producing
Garbage.
disassociated buildings. So why should they change? They have a winning business model.
Yeah, but not for the wealthy. What's so interesting when you see the private schools here, they're in traditional architecture and they're beautiful.
Well, I don't know about the private schools, but I have a horror story. of a wealthy New Yorker, a big investor who had Robert Stern design a wonderful old-fashioned villa for him. And then he pulled out of it. And he went to Joshua Prince Ramos to commission just a horrible glass box. So this is a wealthy person who had the initial good taste to commission a very nice old-fashioned villa and then just dropped it from peer influence, I assume.
Well, they don't realize though that how hardwired it is, but the business world does, and that's fascinating to me. That they know that if they put no faces or they put a modern building, nobody would buy it. And even the Barbie that has a modern building has two faces in front of it.
But look, the business world has competition.
Should we reach out to Ara? Do you want to reach out to him and say join our call?
Yeah.
I really love having him there because he just emailed me. I have an email from him. Ara, I got an email from him. At 11:15, he writes yes. He writes yes at 11:15 that he's going to meet with us at 11:30. He wrote yes. At 11:30 at 12:30 our time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe something happened. He might have gotten called at work or something. Yeah. Let's see if I don't have any other emails from him. Well, do you want to wait till he can join the call? Did you just send him another meeting?
Yeah, I send him the invitation. So, we'll talk and then he can decide what to do with it. So, as I was saying, the architecture discipline or the architecture profession has no competition. They have the monopoly, so they can continue to produce this junk. Whereas the commercial world selling cereal and consumer products have fierce competition from everyone. Big companies, medium companies, small companies trying to get the market share. So there's fierce competition and they need to see what makes their products sell better. Whereas all the architecture firms are not in competition with each other because they offer fundamentally the same product, which is unpleasant and inhuman.
Right.
So whatever you choose, you're going to get the same garbage. So that's not real competition. That's a sort of phony competition.
Right. No, it is. But it's interesting though. I see so many groups now trying to do things designed for well-being. I was just on a call today with a furniture company researcher, and they want to know how people experience their furniture. I mean, they're fascinated by it, and they hired a professional researcher with a PhD to show
furniture that was done in the 1920s. We have all the data about physically comfortable ergonomic furniture already from the 1920s, and psychologically comfortable furniture, and all that was just wiped away and buried. I don't even know if you can find it anymore.
Right. Well, they're
Harald Rietveld introduced the most uncomfortable possible chair. You get a back pain just from sitting 2 minutes on it. Right. So that became the golden standard.
Right.
And has been ever since. I have a story. I might as well tell it while we're waiting for Ara. The former chairman and then dean of the architecture school ordered industrial chairs, just regular chairs for the entire architecture building. So there was several hundred chairs. And he spent a lot of time choosing a chair. And he chose the most uncomfortable possible chair. And they still have them because it's been several years now. And every time I go to a lecture, I cannot sit on a chair. I sit on the edge of a desk because they're so uncomfortable. So this man, an intelligent person, astute politician, chose the most uncomfortable possible chair because of its industrial look.
Right.
He probably never sat on these chairs.
Right, you never sat on it, right. And the idea of evidence-based design is something that still I find, oh, it was wild. I gave a talk at Sasaki. Sasaki is a major interior design company. It has offices in Boston and Denver. They didn't know about any of our work.
Really?
They, no, they knew nothing. And they're also landscape architects. When I talked about the need for narrative coherence in design and in landscape design, how traditional gardens provide that and modern layouts do not. When I talked about the emotional field division or the social field division, the distance a person can easily make out another person, about 100 meters, they'd never heard of it. It was just amazing. It's amazing. They recently were paid by the city to redo Boston City Hall Plaza, which
Really?
has brutalist block on it. They
Yeah.
just finished like 2 years ago. The design doesn't really work because it doesn't have narrative coherence. I mean, you're not walking towards it doesn't work like Jardin des Tuileries works, where there's narrative coherence in the Jardin des Tuileries. You know where to walk, even if you don't know Paris.
Yeah,
It's
okay,
just
but what you're telling me is that these people have no training in what they need to know. They're
they
not.
have absolutely zero training. They
So,
didn't know
so the city commissioned them for such an important project.
Oh my God, it gets even worse. And then there is still a big push, maybe Trump will overturn it all, to do sustainable design for all Boston buildings now and to pass net zero ratings and to use less, be more efficient and have lower carbon footprints. And believe it or not, there's a nonprofit in Boston called Built Environment Plus. And their role is to educate architects about changes so they can design more sustainably. And they announced on Tuesday last week, they just got $4 million in funding from the Boston government to make Boston existing buildings more sustainable, $4 million. At the same day, they announced their awards for the Sustainable Building Awards. The buildings they're calling sustainable are sustainable because they are on a LEED spreadsheet.
That's bogus. That's totally bogus.
But there's nothing about, well, how quickly will people find the front door? Where will people look? Will people look at the sky or will they know where to go? And there's no contrast, So the buildings that got the awards were like, I wouldn't want to send my kid to that school,
Well, look, and Michael Mahaffey and I have been publishing papers and books about what a scam the leads is because it improves by at most 5%, whereas techniques are well known to improve performance for the human point of view by 70, 80%, and they're not applying that.
They're not applying that. But the incredible thing is, though, but before you dismiss them, you have to understand why have they been so successful? LEED is barely 30 years old, I think. It didn't come up from the architects. It was invented on the side. And it's just taken off. Now architects want to be LEED accredited as well as AIA accredited. I mean, it's crazy how it's taken off. But LEED doesn't consider human experience. They do talk about lighting, but they don't talk about, would I want to put this building on a postcard? Would I, the dichotomy is incredible. So when you go to Harvard, it's fantastic. The Harvard has a famous store, the Harvard Coop, where the cooperative store where they sell a lot of the things. They have all these postcards of Harvard buildings. Do you think the Gropius dorms are on the postcards?
No, nor the Corbusier building.
Is the Le Corbusier building on the postcard?
No, never.
They make placemats and postcards of the 19th century Georgian buildings. That's what defines Harvard. Even though they're building more of the modernist bullshit. It's like the dichotomy is crazy.
Okay, now let's go back to the firm that redid the Boston City Plaza. They do not know the techniques for making a really human place out of it because they never learned them in school. Where can you go to learn these techniques? There are only 2 or 3 places, and those are summer institutes that teach human approach, evidence-based design. Okay, so all the schools that we know do not teach this material. They avoid this material. So
No,
where are
it's worse than that. In a way, it's like women not getting the vote. They act like the material's not there. They don't even acknowledge it.
right? So where is a young architect to learn the material that they need to be architects? There are no
Right,
schools that teach it.
right, no, right. No, let me just see. I think I have some pictures I could show you here of the new city hall. Oh, was it this one? No, I'm not sure I have it here. But
Right.
so that's what, I can't believe you're saying this, because this is exactly what Justin wants to do. He wants the Happy to found a school, because what's happening is he says at the urban environmental policy planning department that he runs in Tufts, right? Students are always asking, how do they transfer? How can they learn more about architecture?
Yes.
And he doesn't know where to send them.
Yes, there is no place.
There is no place to send them. So it's like, hold on, let me find you. I'm going to try to find this.
Well, if this video ever goes ever published publicly, there are places that are summer workshops and summer schools that teach human evidence-based architecture, traditional architecture. But the student has to look for them, and a student cannot get a decent
well, so what Justin wants to do is he wants the Happy to put together a school. And I said, well, that's fine, but you're going to have to find someone else to do it because I'm just too overloaded right now.
well,
We have
it
to get,
takes a lot of work. Takes a lot of work.
and it takes a ton of work, and we have
Yeah.
to get we have to get our book done. We have our book due to Routledge in by January 13th. The whole book has to be in, everything.
Yeah. Well, I already did my chapter and sent it in.
Okay, so you should be getting, the final draft is due like December 1st to make sure everything's perfect, everything is there. I'm trying to call up something here. Let me see if this will work. Let me see if this works here. If this will let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, fractal.
This is really fun. Oh, this.
Yes, in fact, this is the Mandelbrot set.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Yeah, we know the Mandelbrot set. Okay, this is very beautiful and very cute, but you need to explain to the listeners what this has to do with architecture. It has a lot to do with architecture.
What?
But if you don't explain it, nobody will know.
No, it's great. Hi, hold on, someone just came in. Hi, can I help you? Yeah, the square foot show is right at the end. Just keep go around the corner and then turn to the left. You'll see it. It's up through Friday. Thanks for coming. And there's another show coming, the Generations of Artists show. You're welcome to submit to that. There's a flyer for that on the big table in there. Okay. Yeah. So what were you saying, Nikos?
Yeah, you have to explain what the Mandelbrot said has to do with architecture.
You have to explain it. Well, the fact is our brains are fractal, our eyes are fractal. It's what we're built to see.
Good. And then the industrial minimalist buildings that everyone is building are not fractal. So what happens?
It gives us a headache to look at them, or our brain tells us not to look at them.
Okay, is that good for business?
No. Not only that, what's happening here in my town, there were two, after World War II, in the 50s, there were like two middle schools built here. Both are coming down. Both are getting demolished.
Really?
They're not even lasting. They're barely lasting 50 years.
Yeah.
You know, it's incredible. Whereas the school that was built in 1910 has been converted into art studios. And in my town, the middle school I went to in Lexington is now housing. Yeah, they
Yeah.
It's
No, look,
yeah.
Stuart Brand wrote this wonderful book.
Yeah. What was it called?
reuse of buildings or the life of buildings.
Oh, really? What's it called? The reuse of buildings?
I forget, but it is Stuart Brand, the whole Earth catalog. A good friend
Okay,
of
that's a
Christopher
cool. Oh,
Alexander.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that's really cool. That's cool.
well, it's out for 20 years. I mean, he documents how beautiful, solid buildings built before the modernist era are just changing uses every 10, 20, 30 years, and everyone is happy, and the new use is very good. And it's solid, extremely easy to adapt. Whereas modernist buildings
Right,
are unfit, they're unfit for the original use, and they're unfit for any subsequent use. Therefore,
right,
unsustainable,
right,
100% unsustainable. So things like LEED,
right.
so you paste a sticker on a modernist building, glass and steel, and say, yeah, this is LEED, but it's fundamentally unsustainable.
It's fundamentally unsustainable, and they don't understand why.
Yeah. But look,
It's really.
Michael Mahaffey and I have written why and have given talks all over. If people don't want to listen, you can't make them listen. You can lead the horse to water.
But what I'm seeing, Nikos, Nikos, is the younger generation is much more interested.
Well, I hope
They're
so.
not threatened.
Yeah, but as soon as the younger generation enters architecture school, they enter into the messianic cult, which tells them that the modernist design is exceptional. So they are trained to consider this exceptional, which means that modernist images are better than anything else. So, once you start with that, then everything else goes to hell.
So do you see this?
Yeah.
So on the left is the original City Hall Plaza, kind
Yeah,
of very
which is inhuman.
inhuman. And this is what Sasaki just finished on the
Well, it's a
right.
little better, but it could have been much, much better.
It doesn't really make sense. Like, where are you going? It had narrative incoherence. Are we going to this circle here?
Yeah,
What the hell is going on here? I don't know
yeah.
where to walk. And then it's very confusing. People don't know where the door is to City Hall.
Yeah, but listen, Anne, if they had only read Christopher Alexander's patterns about open spaces and open plazas, they would have improved this by 10 times. And
No, they
that
don't.
book is published for decades, but they didn't.
They don't read it and they don't understand. So I talked to the designers in my class. I'm teaching them again January 7th. I have another class there. But they have, had never heard of, the social field of vision, emotional field of vision. They'd never heard of the idea of narrative coherence in architecture or urban planning. Like you don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
Are you going underneath here? I mean, it's very confusing. I mean, I admit that the one, oh, sorry.
Well, okay. Don't you have to leave at 12?
Yes, yeah, I do have to leave. Yeah, here it is.
Mm.
Yeah, I've got to leave. But look at this. This is their new renovation. It's nothing. It's very confusing. You don't know where you're going.
Well, it's better than the bleakness of the original one, but it could have been so much better if they had just known basic design skills, user-oriented design skills.
But that's why we need to get our courses out. That's why we need to get our work out. And they don't realize
our work is out and has been out for years. They don't pay attention to it.
No, but it needs to be marketed in different ways so they get it.
Yeah.
I think the new generation is quite interested. But you're right, I do have to go. So I'm sorry we missed Ara.
Okay, so we'll see you next week.
Okay, see what we can do. Talk soon. Bye. Thanks, Nikos.